have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Get ready for Glassfest, May 22nd through 24th. Brought to you by Chemung Canal Trust. Experience the magic of live glass blowing. From hands-on fun to incredible sights, there's something for everyone. Explore creations from local artisans. 3 days, one incredible celebration. Brought to you by Corning's Gaffer District. On Friday night, it's Drake White with John King opening. On Saturday, Tracy's A Taylor Experience. Join us for Glassfest, brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.
Spring into savings at the Declaration of Deals this May at Chilson Wilcox. Drive home a Ram 1500 and save over $6,400. Plus, get 2.9% for 72 months or 4.9% for 84. And it comes with the best powertrain warranty in the business. 10 years, 100,000 miles. Or save over $6,000 on a new Jeep Grand Cherokee. Just announced, go topless in a 2026 Jeep Wrangler. And as always, get the highest trade-in values, period. These deals won't last. Chilson Wilcox, selling cars a different way, the right way.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We have a very nice end to the week out there. Temperature topping off around 71. We'll see more sun than clouds. Then in the overnight hours, rain chances returning, bottoming out in the mid-40s. We'll stay much cooler on Saturday as we head into Memorial Day weekend, 56 with some showers, gradually trending warmer so that by Memorial Day, a high of 77, some low 80s by Tuesday and Wednesday. There are additional rain chances.
Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning, where they are in preparation for Glassfest, which starts today at noon. Listen to this lineup on the program. This morning, and we're not going to have a lot of time to cover the issues of the day, but this morning we're going to talk with Catherine Price from the Gaffer District in the next break. She'll be telling us all about Glassfest. After that, Steuben County Chairwoman Kelly Fitzpatrick. And then, in the 7 o'clock hour, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, fresh from his trip to Albany. We're going to find out what's happening with the budget, and that'll be coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. So get your questions in ahead of time. We're going to be running very quickly this morning. Let's start with a viewer comment. Good morning. Well, good morning. It seems there is some confusion concerning Memorial Day. Memorial Day is a federal holiday to honor and remember U.S. military personnel that died in combat or died from wounds received in combat. Thank you. Yes, there is a confusion on that. I would absolutely agree. I don't think everyone does know the meaning of Memorial Day. So thank you for passing that along. On a very sad note, and we have such a race fan community, one of NASCAR's most renowned drivers, Kyle Busch, has passed away at the young age of just 41 years old after being hospitalized with a severe illness. No cause of death has been revealed at this time. NASCAR made the shocking announcement shortly before 6 p.m. last night, and the racing circuit said it was, quote, heartbroken by the loss. A future Hall of Famer, Kyle was a rare talent, one who comes along once in a generation. The Busch family, Richard Childress Racing and NASCAR, said in a joint statement, he was fierce, he was passionate, he was immensely skilled, and he cared deeply about the sport and fans. Throughout a career that spanned more than 2 decades, Kyle set records in National Series wins, won championships at NASCAR's highest level, and fostered the next generation of drivers as an owner in the Truck Series. His sharp wit and competitive spirit sparked a deep emotional connection with race fans of every age, creating the proud and loyal Rowdy Nation. Busch became a household name to racing fans over his more than 2 decades racing in NASCAR and won 234 NASCAR National Series races across the Cup Series, O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, and Truck Series, which is the most of any driver in the sport's history. His 63 Cup Series wins rank 9th all-time in NASCAR history and owns record-setting win totals in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series at 102 and the Truck Series at 69. Bush won the Cup Series in 2015 and 2019. News of Bush's passing came hours after his family revealed he had been hospitalized due to an unspecified illness, which had first appeared to surface earlier this month at Watkins Glen. He radioed his team during the race, asking for a doctor who worked with NASCAR to meet him after the race. They said he had been dealing with a sinus cold all week. "I'm going to need a shot," he said over the air. When speaking with reporters last week at Dover Motor Speedway, Bush told The Athletic that he had a pretty substantial cough and that, quote, "I'm still not great." So our thoughts and prayers go out to the Bush family. Kyle Busch, NASCAR star, dead at the age of 41. Yesterday in political news, and we got to move fast. Please keep your waves, keep your comments coming in. I'll do the best I possibly can to read those comments in the breaks that we have because, again, 3 guests in one show. Almost unprecedented. Yesterday, Republicans struggled to find the votes to dismiss legislation that would compel President Trump to withdraw from the war with Iran. You're starting to see kind of the rhino Republicans, those who weren't happy with either Cassidy or with Massey, starting to, I guess you could say, make moves against the president. The House had scheduled a vote on a war powers resolution brought by Democrats that would rein in Trump's military campaign, but as it became clear that Republicans would not have the numbers to defeat it, GOP leaders declined to hold a vote on it. It was the latest sign of slipping support in Congress for a war that Trump launched more than 2 months ago without congressional approval. This coming, as you could tell by the wording from the Associated Press. Democrat Representative Gregory Meeks, who sponsored the bill, said we had the votes without question and they knew it, and as a result, they're playing a political game. Republicans in the Senate are also working to ensure that they have the votes to dismiss another war powers resolution that advanced to a final vote earlier this week, when 4 GOP senators supported the resolution and 3 others were absent from the vote. Anyway, we could go through that. Bill Cassidy, in kind of a hissy fit after losing his primary battle because of Trump, switched over at the Senate side. But the Senate also, that was the House, but the Senate abandoned Trump's ICE and border funding bill for a much-deserved early vacation as they accomplished so very little. Why not take an early break? Jake Sherman posted, breaking news, the Senate will go home until June, leaving the reconciliation bill unfinished. John Thune just told senators in the room, all because of the DOJ weaponization fund. House is expected to follow suit soon. So a lot of, they're calling it a rebellion, but this weaponization funding, Democrats are calling it impeachable. Brendan Peterson from Punchbowl News said Thune asked if Senate Republicans are responding to politics, i.e. Trump endorsement and snubs this week. Thune saying it's hard to divorce anything that happens here from what's happening in political atmosphere around us. You can't disconnect those things. So admitting that there's a lot of pettiness there because the president decided not to, as Representative Don Bacon said, quote, Trump went after respected senators. All right, there we go. We're going to hear a lot about this. Perfect timing from Republicans, as is typical. Make sure to do this right before the midterms. Make sure to embarrass the party and the president. Trump said yesterday the U.S. will send 5,000 more troops to Poland. It was a surprise announcement. The Trump administration had previously said 5,000 troops would be withdrawn from Germany, and the further troop reductions in Europe were expected. Trump wrote on Truth Social that his decision was based on the election last year of Poland's conservative president Karol Nawrocki, whom he endorsed. Poland in recent months faced threats from Russia that included NATO and Polish forces having to shoot down Russian drones that had violated the EU's airspace. Okay, one last thing before we take a break, and then we hear from Catherine Price from the Gaffer District. President Trump called to make daylight savings time permanent on Truth Social. Big vote today, 48-1, in the Energy and Commerce Committee on a bill including the Sunshine Protection Act, which will be making daylight savings time permanent. This is so important in that hundreds of millions of dollars are spent every year by people, cities, and states being forced to change their clocks. Many of these clocks are located in towers, and the cost of renting or using heavy equipment to do this twice a year is prohibitive. The House will be attaching the Sunshine Protection Act to the highway bill. The president further pledged that he will be working very hard to see the Sunshine Protection Act signed into to law. It will also be a very nice win for the Republican Party. Take it. We are going with a far more popular alternative, saving daylight, which gives you a longer, brighter day. And who can be against that? This is an easy one. Yes, at this point, pleading and begging Republicans, take a win. What did you think about the Democrat autopsy? They finally reported it. About what happened. Boy, it was a mess. And I would also say not very accurate, not completely accurate, about looking into why they lost the presidential race. If you saw it, I'd love to hear your opinion. Love to see you sending in some waves and comments. But coming up next, we're going to learn about Glassfest. Stay with us.
Our residents, this is something they love. They put themselves out there doing the show, walking the runway, walking the risers. Every penny we take in on our tickets, on our raffles, sponsorship tables, all goes to Mount House. We sold out in 2 weeks.
Kids time. Ask them how they're feeling and listen.
At Simmons Rockwell Nissan, lease a brand new 2026 Nissan Sentra SV front-wheel drive sedan for only $309 a month for 36 months. Make car buying simple. Drive your deal at Simmons Rockwell Nissan in Horseheads and Ornell.
Being a boy, well, I don't know anything different. I had a very successful career. Life was fast. I was preparing physically. I wasn't doing anything mentally. And then I got hurt. I dug into mental health. I wanted to be better as a person. I start my day with a workout. I live life 8 seconds at a time. Find a place to stop and just breathe. Love.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio in the heart of the Gaffer District. Speaking of the Gaffer District, you must be like jam-packed today.
We are. It's such a great day today.
Glass Fest begins today at noon. What's today? Well, we'll talk about the whole weekend, but what's today look like as it kicks off at noon?
So, our ribbon cutting ceremony will be at noon, where we're doing the glass ribbon cutting. I know. So this is my first Glass Fest.
Do you get to cut the ribbon?
I do.
Oh, congratulations!
I'm so excited.
I forgot this was your first one.
Yes.
Wow, you must be nervous.
You know, no.
No? Good.
No, my team has done an amazing job.
Yeah.
We are ready for everything. You know, it's kind of like planning a wedding. Something always goes wrong.
Yeah,
but you just roll with it, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Hopefully no one will even notice.
No, I'm sure not. I see your crew going up and down the street. I hope they have Fitbits on. They must be getting their steps in by about 8 a.m. They're working hard.
They do.
But the ribbon cutting, because it's a glass ribbon for people that have never attended, it's just fun, and there's so many local people and people that have come in from out of town to watch it. That it's a great way to kick off the whole weekend.
It really is. Yeah. So, and speaking of the glass ribbon, so it will be on the stage in Centerway Square at noon with CMOG. So CMOG's going to be here all weekend doing glass blowing demonstrations. They're happening about every hour on the hour, but check our website at gafferdistrict.com for the details. And so it's fun. So I'm going to get to be really close to all the hot glass there with CMOG and the ribbon cutting. And then from that, well, before the ribbon cutting, they're doing a poppy ceremony.
I know, I go them every year. Yeah.
So that happens at 11:45. So that's not something the Gaffer District plans. That's something that the American Legion plans, and we're so happy to be a part of it. Yes. And so that's, it's Memorial Day weekend. So we should probably talk a little bit about that first.
Absolutely.
So on Sunday, we're doing a special ceremony in Centerway Square with the mayor, and I will be there. And we'll be going through all the flags that are there, and we'll have speakers that are talking about people who have given everything. And
it's just it really puts Memorial Day into focus.
It does.
It's an amazing event, and I'm not saying it's overlooked for any reason. I think people don't realize it's happening Sunday sometimes, and that's why I'm so glad you could come on. I talk about it every time we talk about Glass Fest, because don't overlook this. You have to go to it.
Yes, no, it's amazing. Then we'll also have a band that will be there, and we'll be playing for at least 45 minutes, probably closer to an hour. And they have worked it out so that there'll be taps up and down the street.
That's not fair.
So
bring the tissues is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Wow.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's
really
Sunday.
amazing. That's Sunday. So back to today. So today, after we go through the ribbon cutting, then it's vendors and live music on every block. And we have over 100. So what I love about Glass Fest is it's this amazing look into glass arts and music. And here in Corning, I like to say it's arts, innovation, and steeped in history, because we have this amazing city here. So this year, when we selected vendors, we really put a focus on glass arts vendors.
Okay.
So on the first 2 blocks of Market Street, which will be closed, we will have a lot more artists than we usually do. So
That's great.
if you're a collector and you're trying to decide whether or not to come down, definitely come down. The vendors will be here Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Even if you're just a looky-loo.
Exactly.
You just want to see the art.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And then we also, of course, have, again, live music on every block. We do have kids' activities. We have glass activities. That's something that we've never done before.
What's that mean? Like the kids get to interact?
Yes, and adults.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, so that is sponsored by Serveview Credit Union, and also the Community Arts Foundation, excuse me, and the Arts Council of the Finger Lakes. So you get to go up, and we're putting together a community mural that says Glass Fest. So you can pick your glass and you can put it on the mural, or you can make your own glass tile to take home with you.
Oh, how cool is that?
So yes,
what a great idea. I'm surprised that's never been done before. It makes sense to
Yeah.
actually interact with glass at Glass Fest.
Yes, and then we have glasses from sand, so we have some interactive sand activities as well. So that's going to be happening all weekend too.
Yeah, and so many artists, so many vendors, and then there's this great free music, and I think it's such a cool eclectic mix going from today and then going to Saturday. Tell us about the show, the different shows.
So it's really exciting. I know that we've gone something different than has been done in the past. We've done cover bands and 90s bands, and this year we were really looking towards innovative, new, and up-and-coming musicians.
Yeah.
So, and something local, of course.
Yeah, of course.
So Fall Creek Brass Band is kicking us off tonight.
Okay.
And then that will be followed by John King, who's coming in from Nashville.
That's cool. Yeah.
And then our headliner tonight and for the weekend is Drake
White. I mean, this is a big name. You guys got a big name, for a free show.
Yes.
And for any show, if you were paying tickets, what I'm saying is it's so impressive that you can make this a free show to bring in Drake White.
Well, we have to say thank you to Simmons Rockwell,
Of
because
course.
without them,
Not happening.
they're sponsoring the stage. But yes, so, Drake White, so he's really interesting too. If your watchers don't know about him, I definitely recommend a Google, because he was slated to be a next Grammy-nominated artist, and he had a stroke on stage.
I know.
And he's worked his way back, and now he's taking a stop to perform for us with his world tour with Riley Green. Wow. So he's
That's amazing.
Last weekend and then next weekend, and
I gotta stress, it's free.
It's
you
free.
can see him absolutely free. What a headline! And I think country is so popular. Just talking about this, country is so popular that it's a no-brainer, in my opinion, to bring in a country star.
Well, and the other thing too, country isn't the old banjo
right,
stuff that people think about anymore. I think that if you
Yeah.
enjoy music and live music, Drake puts on an amazing show. It is definitely going to be worth coming down tonight.
Absolutely. And then sometimes people say, the new country sounds a little like pop, and so, in some ways it does. That's not a bad thing. But talk about pop, the Saturday is pop, the definition of pop.
So, and it's fun because Uptown Groove is opening, and they do Motown, R&B. I think and they're they're fabulous. We're so excited to have them. And then Tracy Brucolari is coming in with her Are You Ready For It? It's a Taylor Swift experience. So she's going to be doing a set based on, and costume changes, the whole thing based on the Eras Tour with Taylor Swift.
So this is going to be like Woodstock trying to get on Market Street, because everybody loves Taylor Swift. Apparently, I think this is going to be huge. You know it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really exciting. I can't believe the positive feedback that we've been getting for both nights.
Yeah. Well, look, and we've all seen the commercials even during this program, and she looks like Taylor Swift. I'm sure she sounds like Taylor Swift. It's going to be, especially for people that couldn't afford $1,000 tickets to the Era Tour.
Exactly.
I mean, really.
It's absolutely true.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
And you know, she brings both of them will bring their merch tents.
Oh yeah.
I might plug my merchandise too, which I brought along.
I was going to say, you've got a merchandise. Speaking of merchandise tents.
So,
but while you're getting that ready, I should mention fireworks after the show on Saturday.
Saturday night, 9:45.
Yeah,
yes.
So,
and parking. I'm going to talk about parking
for
a second.
Yeah.
So the city of Corning has newly instituted Park Mobile app, which is great because if you download the app, you can see where there are open parking spaces all throughout downtown, which is great. Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to make sure that people know is off Tioga Avenue, by where the library is, there's a big city lot there. Yeah. And for the weekend, that feel free to park, even though it says city permit parking. If you're there after 4 o'clock on Friday and all city long, you can leave your car there. Not overnight. But, but yes, there's
don't have too much fun during the Glass Fest. You don't
exactly. You still need to move your car.
Yeah.
Find somebody with a teenager.
Right, exactly. And there are some. So Market Street is closed.
Yes.
Is there any other street closures, anything like that?
So all the side streets will be closed as well.
Yeah, of course.
Cedar Street will reopen at night and close again the next morning, but that will be the only street that will reopen during the whole weekend. Otherwise, everything is closed down from Wall Street to Wegmans.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the whole street.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
Blocks.
Yes, keep that in mind. So, okay, are you ready to unveil the shirt?
Sure.
Okay.
So you guys are seeing it for the first time ever.
Wow.
Tell me how high to hold it.
Right there, a little higher. There you go.
Higher.
Blow harder at Glass Fest 2026.
Right? And it's actually CMOG how I had it vetted by glass blowers. Because really when you blow glass you want to blow more softly.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So you had to get their approval.
So we wanted to make sure that we weren't putting out anything that we shouldn't be about glass blowing. And so we were vetted. We have the stamp of approval from the CMOG artists.
That's so fun.
And so we've never really sold merchandise before.
Which is amazing to think
Yeah.
about. So there's a lot of I should have started off by saying what's new, but you've already told, there's a lot of new this year.
There's a lot.
Hands-on with glass, you've got merchandise tent. And again, I think the eclectic music, not to say there wasn't in the past, I just like this mix. You've got something for everybody.
We really tried hard, and we really tried to bring in. Well, so I'll talk just a minute about Amy Montopoli, who's our events director, who has worked with Major League Baseball in the past. And so she has some pretty amazing contacts that we were able to leverage to get in music talents that maybe we couldn't have afforded in the past.
Of course.
So,
and she's got to know fireworks, because every baseball has fireworks, right?
Yes, exactly.
Every baseball game. But, I mean, fireworks, great music. And now here we are, the day it kicks off today. I think I asked you this before during Harvest Fest, whatever. What are you looking forward to the most of the weekend? Or do you have time to actually enjoy any of it?
No, you know what? It's good being in charge.
Yeah, you got everybody else, right?
So I do. I really love being able to walk up and down the streets, meet, check in with all of our stores, because this is a great economic impact for all of our downtown businesses. So I'd like to check in with our brick and mortar stores, check in with our vendors, like hear the different music because a lot of the choices I was not involved in, so it's great to keep going and experience it just like any other visitor to the area. And
it should be noted, I know I mentioned it with music, but the event is free now. Of course, you can buy art, you can buy food, and there's going to be great food, just like there always is on Market Street.
Yes.
But the event's free, and it's so family friendly. The kids are going to love it.
Yes.
The family's going to love it. So what a great way to kick off the summer, essentially.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And one other new thing that we've added is a glass lounge sponsored by Point of the Bluff.
Okay.
So this is something new that we're trying. We have very limited tickets. They're $25 a piece, and we're only selling 100 tickets.
Okay.
And it'll be from 3 o'clock in the afternoon until when the concert ends.
Okay.
And so there'll be beer, wine, and
that's a great
food
idea.
in the tent. So, and you'll have your own private tent away from the crowd, either to enjoy Drake White or to remove yourself from the Taylor Swift crowd. So yeah,
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea.
So we're excited to have them and partner with them for this.
What would you say if someone's on the fence? What should they know if they're going to come in today, Saturday, or Sunday to Glass Fest? What, just kind of the who, what, when, where, and why?
Look for the glass.
Yeah.
Look for the music.
Yeah.
There's plenty of both.
Yeah.
You don't even, grab something to eat, grab a coffee at one of our great shops, and walk up and down and just soak it all in. It's amazing.
See your friends and neighbors. See the people. All these people have come in from out of town. It's great.
Oh, and if you're here after dark, we lit the trees.
Oh, I wondered because I saw him working some stuff out the other day, and I said, I didn't even think about it for Glass Fest. It's beautiful. You know,
yeah, so we usually only light the trees for the holidays.
Yeah,
and
right.
we're lighting it now through the Glass Art Society Conference, where we're doing Illuminate on June 5th.
Oh, wow.
So downtown Market Street will be closed on June 5th. We'll have some vendors. We're doing a wine tasting, and we'll have all the trees illuminated.
Oh, isn't that great? That's a good idea. Now, are you ready, before we end the interview, are you ready for a summer full of activity?
Oh my gosh, we have so much.
You got so much
planned.
going on. Yeah.
Yes, it's going to be a really great summer.
Are you going to take your vacation in the winter? Because you can't have any break this summer, right?
But you know what, though? I love it because it's my job to. So we added a movie screen. Oh, yeah. So we're going to be doing at least 4 movies
that's cool.
during the summer on Friday nights. Yeah. And so it's my job to sit there and watch a movie with everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
kind of vacation anyway, right?
It's not hard. It's a really great
Don't
thing
tell
that
too
we
many
get to
people
do.
this. You're supposed to act like it's the toughest job in the world. No, but it's great. And and first of all, congratulations on your first, and I can tell already it's going to be successful, your first Glass Fest. I know it's going to be a lot of fun. So take a second, take it all in, and you'll have to fill us in next time we talk about how great it went. How's that sound?
I would love to. I'll fill you in on all the amazing things that happen all summer.
Perfect. Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Some people who need Social Security disability benefits go to their hearing alone and get turned down. Not every lawyer will appeal a denial after your hearing. I will. I'm Peter Gorton of Lockman & Gorton. I help people win benefits by appealing their denials, including in federal court. But your time to appeal is limited, so call my office now.
Lockman & Gordon, 1-800-698-0567.
Your adventure starts with ServU Credit Union. Wherever you're headed, ServU Credit Union can help you get there with auto and camper loans with special rates. Kick your adventure off with a camper or RV rate of only 6.99% per 120 months. Or get a great deal on your next auto loan, 4.99% for up to 72 months. ServU Credit Union does not determine your loan rate by your credit score, so rest assured that you will receive our best rate. Get started at ServUCU.com today.
This year, WYDC is bringing you 25 New York Mets games free over the air this spring and summer. No fees and no subscription services. Tune into WJKP 48.2 to watch the New York Mets this MLB season. Let's go Mets!
Glass Fest Rock the Park, presented by Simmons Rockwell. Saturday, May 23rd is Tracy's A Taylor Experience.
Welcome to our tribute to the Eras Tour.
Free and open to the public. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.
Down in play, I'll write your name.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We have a very nice end to the week out there. Temperature topping off around 71. We'll see more sun than clouds. Then in the overnight hours, rain chances returning, bottoming out in the mid-40s. We'll stay much cooler on Saturday as we head into Memorial Day weekend, 56 with some showers, gradually trending warmer so that by Memorial Day, a high of 77, some low 80s by Tuesday and Wednesday. There are additional rain.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. You can see the preparation, not a car in sight, as they're closing down Market Street in preparation of Glass Fest. And we thank Catherine Price for being on the program this morning. Coming up in just a moment, we'll be talk about a lineup, right? All week, we've had an amazing lineup. And we thank everybody who has been our guest. If you missed any of them, whether it's Miss Colonial Days, whether it's Tony Pucci about his new book, whatever the case may be, go on to our YouTube page and you can find all of them in one handy location. And of course, at some point today, all of the interviews from this morning will be on our YouTube page as well. Also, I just want, yes, I know, listen to this. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. 3 guests in one show. Now you definitely need that third hour. Have a great holiday weekend. Enjoy those hot dogs or hamburgers. Thank you very much. I hope you have a very nice holiday weekend. Of course, we will not be in on Monday, but we're going to be hitting the ground running next week with guests as well. But thank you. I hope everyone has a very nice Memorial Day weekend. And to our first comment from our first viewer, let's remember what it's all about. But yes, 3 guests in one show. It's been a while since we've tried to pull that one off. Also, a comment from a different viewer. And I got your question for Phil Palmisano, to the one viewer. We'll make sure to ask him that. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. I heard that while we were sleeping, they pulled the Stephen Colbert show. I've read that a lot of special people are very upset about it. If the special people are so upset, shouldn't they start a GoFundMe to keep this amazing show going? Or maybe they're really not that upset because they secretly don't want to stay up that late. Well, I actually think they probably don't want to lose $40 million a year either. I mean, that's why this whole taking a stand against Trump, and let's face it, he got pretty big for his britches and failed spectacularly in the instance of essentially endorsing Jasmine Crockett's opponent, saying some things about Trump that just were not factually accurate, of course, just trying to be kind of a kingmaker, and didn't work. It's been a long time coming. And that's exactly what President Trump said last night. Colbert is finally finished as CBS. Amazing that he lasted so long. No talent, no ratings, no life. He was like a dead person. You could take any person off the street and they would be better than this total jerk. Thank goodness he's finally gone. Yes, losing something like $40 million a year. So yeah, I think that the special people want to sleep in too, because it's, to me, why would you just tune in to get your worldview confirmed? Clap like seal's a very bad joke. So they're probably happy, to your point, get to go to bed early and not have to pretend they like Stephen Colbert. Hey, by the way, President Trump also said he's going to try to make his son's wedding this weekend. He'd like me to go, but it's going to be just a small little private affair, and I'm going to try and make it. This is not good timing for me. Everything called Iran and other things, still he admitted that that's one I can't win on. And he's exactly right on this. If I do attend, I get killed. If I don't attend, I get killed. Hopefully they're going to have a great marriage. We talked about that yesterday, that there was talks that could happen this weekend. It looks like President Trump confirmed that. Now, did you happen to see the DNC autopsy of 2024 defeat? We may have an opportunity to talk a little bit about it, but I don't know, because we already have to take a short break, and we have a lot of information to pack in. But the autopsy says Biden loyalists neglected Harris and claims GOP learned more from Obama than Democrats. A slipshod, error-riddled draft of an autopsy of Donald Trump's crushing 2024 election victory, commissioned by the Democratic National Committee, largely blamed allies of former President Biden for failing to properly support Harris. Oh, I guess, well, $2.5 billion. We've heard 1.5, but it's much higher. But let's say $1.5 billion, just not enough support. They also knocked the party apparatus as relying on negative partisanship to win races. Well, maybe it's a good thing they released this autopsy, because that's all they're running on now for the midterms. The draft, begrudgingly released by the DNC, made no mention of Biden's advanced age or evidence of his cognitive decline or him staying in too long. Harris's pick of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as a running mate, Democrats' turn against Israel following October 7, 2023 Hamas attacks, or 4-decade high inflation during the 46th president's term as reasons for Trump becoming the first Republican nominee in 20 years to win the popular vote en route to the Electoral College blowout. The report, drafted by former Bill Clinton strategist Paul Rivera, did make sure to knock Team Biden for not conducting advanced polling on Harris prior to the incumbent abandoning his reelection. You know, that's ridiculous, because they didn't need to take a poll, advanced poll. It was said by their own party that Harris wouldn't be the next choice. But Biden, I think, wanting to make his last power move, endorsed her when he dropped out. But they didn't care about the polling. Everybody knew that Harris wouldn't have been the candidate if everything would have went normal. If Biden would have lost to Trump, or if Biden would have won another 4 years, the next term would not have been Harris. The national campaign did not effectively drive Trump's negatives. Oh, yeah, no. No, hardly ever brought up Trump's negatives. And the White House did not effectively support Vice President Harris over 3.5 years to improve her standing before the candidate switch. The report read, while arguing that Harris's immigration portfolio had been poorly framed by Republicans. Border czars were not the official title, but it was the one that media propagated, and the White House failed to contradict or correct. All right, we could talk more about that. There's some opinion pieces on this, but we have to take a short break, and it's time to hear from our good friend, Kelly Fitzpatrick, the chair of the Steuben County Legislature. It's been a little while, and I can't wait to talk with her, so stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
William Mattar has earned a reputation for being a straight shooter.
Because I am a straight shooter.
For being honest.
Here's what we're willing to pay.
Because I am honest.
For winning a lot.
Because we win a lot.
If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident, it matters who you hire. It matters in the experience as well as the results. Call William Mattar. Visit williammattar.com.
What better start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at National CASA GA.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and in that studio, it's so nice to welcome back Steuben County Chair Kelly Fitzpatrick. Thanks for being on the show.
I am very happy to be here. Thank you so much.
So we're doing one about once a quarter now. So you got a lot to fill us in on.
I have been working really hard.
You have been.
And I'm learning to juggle all of the responsibilities much better and want to make sure I keep my constituents and the county informed on what's going on.
I'm so glad you could come on because it seems like I'm seeing more and more press releases about positive news coming out of Steuben County. You guys have been working hard.
We have been working very hard. And after having one term as the chair, and I stepped into the second term and got a unanimous vote from the legislators, I feel empowered.
I'm sure you do.
And there are things that we need to do, and we are going to get them done.
What did it feel like going into that night? Did you think you'd get unanimous?
I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of anyone that was running against me, but it was just a really good pat on the back and a good vote of confidence from the group. So I felt much better about the direction of the legislature and our ability to work as a collaborative group.
Yes. Now I want to start with, because there's so many breaking kind of stories coming out, but I want to start with one that's a little bit older news, just because we talked about it numerous times on this program, and that was this misinformation that came out, and I want to get your perspective on it, that we were going to have an ICE detention center built in Steuben County. How shocking was that news to you?
That was really shocking because
it's not
that
true.
is certainly not our intention. It all stemmed from the arrangement that we have with the federal government for housing federal inmates.
Right.
And it's just a temporary measure where we can put in some of the inmates. We get paid on a daily basis for however many inmates we have.
Right.
And it's a nice little revenue to help offset the cost of the jail. So because it coincided with us cooperating with ICE it was blown well out of proportion and got everybody worked up.
Well, when I first saw it, I knew, when something doesn't smell right.
Yes.
I mean, I'm close enough to it, talking with you, talking with the sheriff, talking with so many people. Well, this just isn't the case. When you look at it, it was actually a positive for us that we were increasing the money that we could get.
Yes.
So to me, the problem I had with it, and I still do, it still kind of boils my blood. If you want protesters to come to the legislative meeting, don't lie to them to get them there. And that's what that ultimately felt like to me.
Yes, it feels like there is a lot of information that is out there, and it's meant to get people scared or mad. And when you're scared or mad, you're willing to voice whatever that opinion might be. And it's wrong. Give people the information, let them make an informed decision.
Right.
To a certain degree, if there are immigrants that are picked up that are here illegally and they get detained at our facility, I would trust the sheriff and our jail staff to take much better care of them than they might be taken care of in Batavia or elsewhere.
Exactly.
So to a certain degree, I certainly would trust the sheriff to do whatever needs to be done and take care of everybody in a very humane manner. So to think that we would do anything otherwise, it shows a lack of information, first on our part, and then people just love to be the keyboard warriors. If they get something and you get worked up about it, we've got to shout at the top of our lungs when that is really not necessary.
I agree, and that leads to the public comment section is very important, part of our system. But sometimes it can get unruly, and in this situation, you have I don't know how many people showed up. Let's say 100 people, all reading kind of from the same script. How do you deal with that at the legislature? Because this is happening every meeting now.
It is happening at every main meeting. We have quite a few people signing up for the public comment period. And fortunately for us, it hasn't really been unruly at all.
Okay, good.
The people who have spoken have been very respectful. And in fact, at this last meeting, they were actually quite helpful. Several of them spoke against the ICE agreement that we have. But then we also had public hearings on a few other things. One of those is called the Environmental Management Council. It's a council that was formed in 1971, and it used to meet for various environmental issues, obviously.
Yeah.
Two of the people that were there speaking against ICE actually happened to have served on that committee way back when, and we were just going to abolish it because it hasn't been used in decades.
Sure.
So they spoke about it, and they said, under the circumstances with all the things going on with the environment, maybe we should take a second look.
Oh, interesting.
And because of that input from the public, we tabled the resolution, and we are taking a second look. So yes, they're speaking about something that we at this point trust the sheriff and trust that what we are doing is the right thing, but they had the opportunity to speak about something else. More of the people should listen to our meetings and come and speak when it's a topic that they're passionate about.
Yeah, and constructive when it's not just a one way,
Yes.
right? It's very nice to hear. I love when in Irwin when people have things that you may not even be aware of. Steuben County is a big area,
Yes,
so
it
they
is.
could say, well, this is an issue in our neighborhood, this is an issue in our neighborhood. Those are really helpful. Reading from a script to me doesn't help anybody. It just kills some time.
And a lot of the issues and the things they're concerned about didn't even happen in our area.
Right, well, exactly.
And that is the main thing that I would say. If you want a different outcome, you add different ingredients to the mix.
Right.
And particularly when they quote the actions in Minneapolis, their law enforcement didn't participate.
Exactly.
Our law enforcement is going to participate, and I truly believe with all of my heart they would de-escalate any of those situations.
Totally agree. Yeah.
ICE is going to come whether we participate or not.
Exactly.
And why not be there to be the voice of reason when it's needed to be there?
I couldn't agree more. But moving on from there, since we were talking about the sheriff, anything up on the appeal?
The appeal was heard at the judicial court last week.
Okay.
So we should get a ruling from them sometime in the next 6 to 8 weeks. And I am very excited to potentially have that issue behind us.
I'm sure.
I'm sure he is as well.
I'm sure.
We just want to get to the business of the county business. And I spend more time when I have a question for the sheriff actually calling him and saying, hey, can I come out and have a meeting with you?
Absolutely.
I'll bring my vice chair, perhaps a couple of other people, and we talk out any of our disagreements, and I feel like it just makes for such a better environment.
I agree.
Email can be misread, misquoted, and taken the wrong way. So it's much better to speak in person, and I think he appreciates that far more than anyone would ever really let on.
I'm sure. I totally agree. Boy, we've all got that text message or email that we totally took the wrong way.
Absolutely.
In person's always better. All right, so let's talk about some of these great positive stories. First of all, and I just saw Valino walk by, Mr. Sludge himself. I shouldn't call him that, but this guy has been so passionate about this.
Yes.
And you guys have taken up, and I know everybody's working together, not just him being. Tell us about this new decision of the moratorium on sludge.
Very exciting to have finally gotten that through. You know, there is still question as to whether or not, with the Right to Farm Act, if we have the authority to pass the moratorium. But I told my legislators it's time for us to take a stand. We all know that there is something wrong with this. We all know something needs to be done. And if it takes this step for perhaps us to get into some kind of legal trouble over it, that is fine. Our county attorney is prepared and willing to take it to court if need be. It's really important. We need to recognize the fact that some of the things we are doing to our environment, it's damaging the environment. It's damaging ourselves. When are we going to take a step to stop that?
Right.
This is our first step.
I know, and even
it's only 6 months, and it's only for new permits.
Right.
So it's a tiny step. So it's a tiny step for man.
Right.
But let's hope that we get the big step for mankind.
Right. What has the reaction been? Because I hear it's been overwhelmingly positive, but I'm sure you hear from some farmers, perhaps. What's the reaction been overall?
It's been quite positive. The farmers I speak to are concerned because they need to buy fertilizer.
Right.
My question to them would be, chemical fertilizer is probably just as bad for the environment as the sludge is.
Right.
And so perhaps this will lead to something bigger and better. Perhaps it'll involve more investment in those digesters. They take the manure, put it in the digester, and it converts it to either natural gas or electricity. The technology that comes out of some of these things that force us to change is amazing. So all of the feedback that I have gotten on the moratorium is positive.
So when you've got a 6-month moratorium, what's the next process after that? So this is the time to discuss and kind of reflect on what you can and cannot do?
That is the time to discuss. It's also the time to maybe pressure the DEC to finish their research and their studies on this issue and issue some real guidance that will protect farmers, the environment, and the ultimate consumer.
Right. And then, this was breaking yesterday, the Animal Abuse Registry. I've been hearing about this all year. This just started this year, right?
That is correct.
Conversation.
There's steps for us that we have to take in order to pass a new local law. And so we first have to put it through committee. It was presented to the legislature a couple of months ago, and then we have our public hearing, and then we pass it.
Gotcha.
But there have been some horrible stories in the news about things that are happening to creatures that cannot take care of themselves. And we need to take a stand against that as well.
Ironically, there was a story, I don't want to give it any credence, there was a story that happened the day that the news broke that you had the Animal Abuse Registry.
Yes.
And it was
I
a
thought,
horrific
there we
one.
go, our first person that, if convicted, they will get their name on the registry.
And how does that work? How does the actual registry itself work?
It will be connected to the sheriff's app.
I love the sheriff's app.
We have already purchased the component to it that will help us track the animal abuser registry. So individuals and organizations will have access to it right on the app on your phone. Okay.
And if you're, I don't think anybody in this audience would ever be convicted of something like this. How long are they on the registry?
I believe the length of time on the registry is 7 years.
Oh, wow.
It's a long time.
Well, yeah, it should be.
Yes.
I mean, you hear, like you said, it's heartbreaking when you hear these stories of what some of these people are doing. Why even get an animal? I don't understand that.
I don't either. And the thing is, there is so much evil in the world.
I know.
And if you could do something to an animal when that animal can't really fight back that much, wouldn't really fight back, and can't speak for itself, that's shameful in my mind. So I definitely proposed this, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, actually before year end, and wanted it moving. Let's get this moving. So this is a very positive story.
I totally agree, and I've heard the updates, and you always wonder because you hear something that sounds like a good idea, but you wonder it'll come to fruition. But this sounds perfect with the sheriff's app. Everything was designed to make this work.
Yes. Once we got the ball rolling on it, the sheriff had already started looking because, of course, a lot of that kind of work rests on his shoulders, and it makes extra work for him. But we're prepared to support him in whatever he needs to make this happen. We had already taken over the animal cruelty officer duties a few years back.
Okay.
So this fits in well with that.
I can't imagine anybody's opposed to an animal abuse registry.
I would think not. I think the biggest issue with it will be, you know, the area farmer that has a cat that has kittens and he just wants to give them away.
Right,
you want
sure.
a kitten, come and get it.
Yeah.
That might be problematic, but it's still the right step.
I agree. So everything else, those are the big stories. Anything else going on that we should know about the Steuben County Legislature?
We've been trying to work with a lot of our partner agencies. You know, one of our big concerns is that with the budget changes at the federal level and then the fact that the state can't pass a budget, we're concerned about what of those expenses are going to come down our way. Let's take, for example, SNAP benefits. When those benefits change and there's the work that you have to perform in order to continue to maintain your benefits, I think that that's going to be a problem. Not that I am objected to that. I as an able-bodied adult, would never want to be supported by somebody else.
Right.
I don't know how you instill that into other people. These things are supposed to be safety nets for emergencies, or you need your bootstraps picked up, or you have a big family and you can't work to support all of them. It's supposed to be a safety net. It's not supposed to be a lifestyle.
I know.
So the problem with that is that we live in New York, and New York is a very liberal state, and we offer a lot of services and conveniences that other states don't offer.
Right.
It costs a lot of money. I don't foresee the state, given its current legislative environment, adjusting those benefits downward to what can be afforded.
Yeah, I agree.
So our concern is what is going to come down the line that we are going to be forced to pay for. So I've encouraged and wanted us to meet with ProAction, Meals on Wheels, food banks, food
Salvation Army,
pantries.
they do it,
Yes, all of the people that provide some of these support services. What can we do to make the service better? What can we do to get more bang for our buck?
Right.
And how can we continue to support the people that need that support, and also more people if they end up needing it?
Right, because it's amazing to me, and this came up recently in numerous discussions on this program, whether it's Corning, Irwin, wherever, the homelessness issue too.
The homelessness
that's plaguing
is-
Steuben County.
It's a very big issue. In fact, at the county level, we look at it also, you know, we have a lot of homeless people, and it costs just so much money in order to deal with this issue. So one of the things that we did during this last winter season was what's called a warming station. And of course, nobody wants one anywhere near themselves.
Right.
But those same people don't want somebody living under a bridge freezing to death
Right,
either.
exactly.
So you've got to have some kind of service that's offered. So that actually, the format of it is really great. It's not a hotel room where you're getting to have fun in a hotel over a weekend or whatever. It's a house. There is transportation. There is some security. They provide meals. It's similar to the format here in Corning at Bridges to Hope.
Yes.
Only it's not temporary housing. It's just a place to stay when the weather is below 32 degrees.
Right.
I think that you need more of those.
I agree.
I think that you don't want someone to freeze to death, but you don't want them so comfortable that they think it's a lifestyle choice. So warming stations are really the way to go. It's a lot less expensive for us to provide that service. And it also gives the person the opportunity to say, well, you're here helping me do this. I have this other issue. Can you help me with this?
Yeah.
They get transportation. We can introduce them to other services. I know the Bridges to Hope has on-site staff that can help if you need mental health services, or maybe job career services,
Addiction,
or
whatever,
any of those addiction services. We try to offer all of that. So it's really got to be a well-rounded approach, and we're going to try to save as many people as we can, recognizing that not everybody wants to be saved.
I know, and it's sad, but it is definitely, whether it's here in Corning or Irwin, it is the biggest talk, I would say, right now.
Absolutely, and every community has that level. Perhaps not in Jasper or Troopsburg, but Bath, Hornell, Corning, we all have those individuals, and we know who they are, that like to be on the streets, and they're going to be on the streets. And with the major New York Forward grant announcements in the village of Bath, they are really trying to crack down on what's going on in the village and the people that are hanging out on Liberty Street.
Yeah, and they just had an issue the other day with yesterday with a big fight in front of one of the hotels. I mean, it keeps adding up there in Bath.
I saw the press release, and it was 3 individuals that allegedly beat up the fourth. And that person had to be airlifted.
Oh,
I mean,
my
the domino effect of the cost of homelessness it affects everybody. And yes, we are civilized society. We want to take care of our people that live here. But at some point, I told the mayor, we need to have a meeting and we need to beg for bail reform change.
Couldn't agree more.
Because there are people that are doing horrible things and they are just constantly let out on the street. When did they become more important than the law-abiding, tax-paying citizens?
Yeah, public safety has become such a major concern, and that's why they all ties in hand to hand. But you had touched on something. How, at the legislative level, do you compare, just like I would ask somebody from the school district, when there hasn't been a New York State budget for almost 2 months? How do you prepare? I know you guys worked on your budget already, but this has got to be almost impossible to plan.
It is very difficult.
Yeah.
I feel more sorry for the school districts because we have so many different sources of revenue and so many different things that we can do.
Right.
The other thing, we had our comptroller audit, and the big thing that the comptroller bashed Steuben County on was that we have too much money.
Right.
We have fund balance in reserve. We have reserves. Our financial position is extremely strong. And these are the situations why we have that.
Right.
And I said, if that's the worst thing that you can find on us, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I said, the state's probably jealous because we have a lot more money than they do.
What a mess. Boy, it's been fun to watch, though, huh?
I am almost ashamed
I know
that they spend so much money and they're borrowing against 50 years in the future to pay for expenses today.
I know.
How is this a fiscal policy that makes any sense?
It's not. It's going to be a mess. But everything else is good. How's everything with you?
Yes, I have been training for the 8K.
Oh, are you?
We haven't been running down here in Corning, so I haven't waved at whoever was had their back to the window. So I'm excited about that. We are gearing up for the 250th celebration.
Yeah, that's going to be big.
We'll have a big celebration in the park the weekend of Labor Day.
Okay.
I got to go to Hammondsport over the weekend. They did the dedication of the Glenn H. Curtis Park.
Oh, that's nice.
So if you haven't been down there at the lake, it is absolutely spectacular. And the best part, that was really swampland.
Yeah.
They cleaned it up. It's mostly private donation and some grant money, so it's not really taxpayer money.
Perfect.
And they have plans to continue to expand it and to grow. And it's really just a beautiful asset in the community.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the 250th. There's going to be a lot of events going on.
Yes, I'm very excited about those.
Yeah.
I've offered to meet with any of my legislators at their town and or village meetings. I figured it would be nice to actually go out and meet the town board members and other constituents from other towns. It's challenging because I have my own town and village to take care of. But I have Nick, and he is my cohort in the town of Bath. He can cover town of Bath, and I can go and visit some of the others.
Steuben's so big.
It is. It is a big community. EMS services have been doing well. We've planted them in areas where they desperately need it, and it will continue to grow. The volunteerism in the state of New York is very difficult. In order to be an EMT, the education requirements are so substantial, you have a hard time getting volunteers to be able to do that. So
EMTs, and even we've talked about it with the fire department too. The volunteer is such an issue, and EMT in our rural area is so vital.
Oh my gosh. And if you have a medical emergency and you're waiting 20 minutes for an ambulance, that is not a good thing.
No, heaven forbid.
Not a good thing at all.
No. So I'm glad to hear that that's expanding. I knew that was a big topic last year, but you've given us so much time this morning. Thank you. Can we do it again soon?
Absolutely. I would love to.
All right. That's definitely before the 250, so we can promote the 250.
That sounds like a plan. I love it.
All right. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this. Stay with us.
Give kids time. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
At Simmons Rockwell, you'll find brand new 2026 Chrysler Pacifica Select all-wheel drive passenger vans for only $43,999 during the Declaration of Deals event going on now at Simmons Rockwell Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Bath.
For each life moment, your kids could get free or low-cost health coverage from Medicaid or CHIP.
Kids up to age 19 are covered for checkups, vaccines, dentist visits, hospital care, and more. Your kids may be eligible now, even if you've applied before. And if they already have Medicaid or CHIP, remember to renew every year. Get started now at insurekidsnow.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department.
And we welcome you to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street as they are preparing for Glass Fest. We want to thank all our guests in the 6 o'clock hour. Catherine Price from the Glass Fest, sure, but from the Gaffer District. Kelly Fitzpatrick, that's Dumaine County Legislative Chair. We appreciate her being on the program. A lot to cover there. We hit all the hot button issues, so I appreciate her being on the program. Coming up here in just a little bit, we do have a little time together. We're going to talk with Assemblyman Phil Palmisano about everything going on in Albany. I didn't think we'd be able to get it all through, but I think we are. So if you have any questions for Phil, I've received a couple already. But if you have any questions for Phil, please get them in ahead of time. Okay. The DNC's belated 2024 autopsy. Now, they don't like calling it an autopsy. They originally called it, an after-action plan or something? Well, according to Rich Lowry, the Democrats couldn't complete their term paper, but handed it in anyway because too many people were wondering what had become of it. There was a lot of pushback. Even Kamala Harris said that she wanted to see it. There was typos. It was a mess. No wonder they didn't want to release it. Under pressure, the DNC finally released its autopsy of the 2024 election after rampant speculation about what it contained and why it hadn't yet been made public. And this is one of the things that this Ken Martin, and none of my business, but this Ken Martin, who's the head of the DNC, he's the one that was crying on that phone call because he thought other people in the DNC were getting more attention than him. He has been a disaster. I can't believe they've kept him on. But I guess, if he rides in the midterms and Democrats do what they claim they're going to do and win, maybe that can salvage it. But he doesn't seem to be doing much of a job. So he was pressured to release this. He didn't want to do it. Finally, CNN, I believe it was, got kind of a rough draft of it. So he said, well, if you're going to release it anyway, here's the final copy. It turns out that it is thoroughly unimpressive, an unfinished document that in the sheer incompetence in its drafting and handling says more about the low state of the current Democrat Party than any of its analysis. DNC Chairman Ken Martin maintains he delayed so long because he didn't want to create a distraction by releasing a poorly done report, which sounds like a typical Washington excuse for hiding something, except it wasn't. Once everyone saw the report, they realized Martin was right about the embarrassingly poor handiwork of his own outfit. At the start, the autopsy contains a disclaimer that the DNC was not provided with the underlying sources, interviews, or supporting data for many of the assertions contained herein, and therefore cannot independently verify the claims presented. The Democrats would have been better off going with ChatGPT. That said, the report acknowledges that Democrats are out of touch and too dependent on the Republicans making poor candidate choices, something the GOP may be about to do again in its Texas primary with the scandal-plagued Ken Paxton. It notes how Trump's they-them ad hitting Kamala Harris on trans issues was devastating and unanswerable. It recognizes that Harris didn't do enough to separate herself from Biden and make an affirmative case for herself, rather than relying on voters supposedly considering Trump unacceptable. On the other hand, it fails to grapple with the issues of inflation and immigration, except to complain about Harris being given a role with some responsibility over the border. These were the two biggest substantive issues in the election, while the autopsy also whiffs on Biden's age and his poor judgment in trying to run for re-election. Although our expectations for honesty in such documents shouldn't be high, what was the report going to say? That Democrats disgraced themselves by pretending that Biden was fit for a second term and only shifted course when he got exposed in the first debate, and then had no alternative but to turn to a charmless non-entity as a last-minute substitute? And you've heard my theory on this for a long time. that, and I've probably said too many times, but that Joe Biden, on his way out, when he was pressured by Pelosi and others to, after 50 years of Democrat loyalty, told he had to step away, even though he didn't think he had to, because remember, he was surrounded by yes people telling him he was doing fine. So he said, okay, I'm going to step aside, but my last power move is to endorse Harris. Let's see if you can win with this. If you think I was so bad, let's see what you can do with this. And of course, they lost historically. But they don't acknowledge these things. They don't acknowledge the fact that Kamala Harris, for years, even by Democrats, was not considered a presidential candidate. Remember, the first time she ran, she never received a single vote because she didn't make it to the primary votes. She had one, quote-unquote, good debate performance and then cratered. So then she doesn't get a single vote because she drops out. And then, of course, she's put in as vice president and does a disastrous job. And yet somehow she becomes a candidate. We know the whole history. But the history of such party appraisals isn't a good one. Donald Trump won the presidency in 2016 by taking the recommendations of the GOP autopsy after his 2012 election defeat and basically doing the opposite. Democrats may be rudderless and increasingly extreme, but that doesn't mean they won't have a good election night this coming November. Usually a party that just lost the White House rises or falls in the midterm based on the incumbent president's job approval. We've heard this. Karl Rove had a big piece the other day about, based on Trump's approval ratings, Republicans are in for a disaster in November. I'm more concerned about Republican apathy. You know, oh, we got Trump in there, or I'm really mad at John Thune, or whoever it may be, because Republicans aren't doing enough. Why bother going out to vote if we vote them in? And there's a point to this. I hate to say it, but why vote for the Republican if we put them in and they're not going to do the job that we hired them to do? Something as easy as the SAVE Act for voter ID, right? That is supported by something like 80% of the people. As for winning the White House, that typically depends on nominating someone who is charismatic and fresh, who has unexpected approach to politics, and who develops a new coalition. Think Barack Obama in 2008 or Trump in 2016. None of this comes about by having a political strategist talk to a bunch of people about the immediate past election and write a long report about it. Needless to say, Democrats should be grateful that the stakes of their autopsy are so low, since they couldn't even bring themselves to finish it. The takeaway from CNN of the autopsy was that it paints a pretty dismal picture for Democrats. It says here, this kind of thinking, denialist at its core, prevents the party from seeking real accountability and from making the changes we need to deliver on our promises to the American people. It says that since Obama's big 2008 win, the party has been stagnant and retrogressive, and it notes that on the whole, Democrats have steadily lost ground since Obama's success. Quote, these losses are the direct result of missed opportunities to invest in our states, counties, and local parties and candidates. It even waves away any optimism coming from strong results in the 2025 elections, arguing that some of these elections were tighter than Democrats should be comfortable with. Interesting. And it says that when Democrats have won big races in recent years, the wins can often be attributed to negative partisanship, where Republicans have nominated deeply flawed candidates. It casts the Biden operation as having neglected Harris. That's an interesting one. It also faulted the Biden White House for not more aggressively working to contradict or correct the right-wing labeling of Harris as Biden's border czar. Her task instead dealt with the root cause of migration from Central American countries. They're still trying to rewrite that history. Isn't that amazing? And they act as if the media ran with the border czar title. Trump did. Republicans did, of course. But we had that disclaimer, just like CNN is still making. Well, that was not technically her title. Unbelievable. They're still trying to cover their you-know-whats after all this. It points to a broader failure to define Trump. The idea Trump's negatives were baked in is a major failure of analysis and reality. It says, given how his favorability has cratered less than a year into his term, the grounds were there, but the message did not make the case. And it says Harris and her campaign took too much for granted. Harris's focus on college-educated suburbs left gaps at unwinnable levels. Harris lagged in rural areas nationally, which proved to be insurmountable in swing states. Harris wrote off rural America, assuming urban-suburban margins would compensate. The Harris campaign appeared to have relied on Trump being unacceptable rather than building an affirmative case for Harris. Harris struggled with definition beyond not Trump and prosecutor versus felon. The truncated campaign timeline didn't help, but the campaign did not quickly resolve on how to tag Trump and define Harris. We've probably heard enough of this, but it cast Trump's transgender ad as very damaging to Harris. Oh, it was. That could be one of the biggest takeaways of a political ad in a very long time. Now, I don't think the media will put it in with other historic political ads, but it was a defining moment in the campaign. Where it said Kamala is for they, them, President Trump is for you. It said the campaign's pollsters all recognized the attack as very effective. If the vice president would not change her position, and she did not, then there was nothing with which would have worked as a response. But it says Harris at least helped other Democrats more than Biden. It suggests a shift away from identity politics and towards middle-class appeal. They're not listening to that, though, are they? Look at some of the candidates they picked. They're still, you could think woke is dead after Trump's victory. It's not. We continue to see it. It says that Senator Jackie Rosen of Nevada and now Senator Ruben Gallego of Arizona showed her how year-round presence, economic messages, and addressing cost of living concerns resonate more than identity politics. And finally, enough on this, but there are a few hard and fast solutions. If anyone reading for the report is looking for a silver bullet, they're likely to come away disappointed. The report is mostly summarizing what happened. It contains many judgments about why Democrats lost, but when it comes to solutions for making things better, it generally just suggests the party needs to rethink things and do certain things better without detailing how. It contains a lot of errors. It says Democrats need to spend earlier. Yeah, one thing they did is not spend enough. Harris, $1.5 billion. It's more than that, but $1.5 billion in the, 107 days. What wasn't included, it was silent on some of the biggest and potentially juiciest aspects of the campaign. That includes any judgment about Biden's decision to run again, the impact of the war in Gaza, and the fact that Harris, I like that, the war in Gaza, not saying the anti-Semitism and anti-Israel strain in the Democrat Party, but again, it's CNN. And the fact that Harris was allowed to take over the ticket without anyone mounting an electoral challenge. It also doesn't weigh in on Harris's failure to do an interview with Joe Rogan. It says Democrats failed to act on another post-mortem after the 2022 election. Anyway, enough on that. So that was how. It wasn't all we thought it would be cracked up to be. Okay. If you read it, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, how am I doing on time? I better take a break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Precision, control, trust. Young's Tires is where performance meets the road. Michelin high-performance tires are built for exacting standards. That's why installation has to be right every time. Young's Tires, because at speed, details matter.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.
Small businesses are the heart of America. Like you, these entrepreneurs started out with a dream and the drive to build a better life. If you have a small business idea to grow or challenge to face, you don't have to go it alone. Since 1964, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses. Today, they are the nation's largest nonprofit source of expert mentoring, resources, and education. Whether you're starting out, building back, or have worked at it for years, SCORE will match you with specialized mentors. Our thousands of volunteers provide the guidance and connections you need for free. Your success is waiting. SCORE is ready to help. Find a mentor today at SCORE.org.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in the heart of the Gaffer District with their Glass Fest coming up, well, starting today at noon. Also, don't forget, because there's a lot of things going on this weekend. I know we promoted them at the beginning of the week, such as Glass Fest. We actually promoted today. But I wanted to remind you, and if I'm going to remind you something, why not put it at the very bottom of my stack of papers? It's the United States Air Force Heritage of America Band at the Clemens Center. We had that great interview just yesterday. That is free and open to the public on May 24th. That's this Sunday at 2 p.m., so don't miss it. It's at the Clemens Center, of free performance. All right, we're going to go through a couple quick comments, and then Assemblyman Phil Palmisano is in the studio. Do you think that Democrats are going to melt down over Trump's daylight savings time bill? Won't it look like the king is ordering the sun to shine longer? Could you play Good Day Sunshine for your pre-show music? I love it. Great comment. Thank you very much. Comment from a different viewer. Regarding your comment about the autopsy that people will vote for a Democrat due to the fact that voter integrity laws, for example, have not been passed, doesn't make any sense, and that it is the fault of the Democrats who are responsible for not allowing it to pass. So why would a logical mind do erroneous 180 and vote for a Democrat? Was I quoting the CNN article there? I don't remember. I know we talked about SAFE Act, but that was, I see what you're saying. I'm talking about voters not going out for Republicans because they feel that the Republicans haven't done enough with things like the SAVE Act. That's what I was saying. But I'm not saying they're doing a 180 and switching to the Democrat Party. I'm just saying that would be one less vote for people that are frustrated. I hope that clears that up. All right, we have Assemblyman Phil Palmisano coming in after this. Stay with us.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bust.
Thousands lined the pier at Seneca Harbor. Race weekend brought thousands to Watkins Glen International.
Hundreds and Horseheads joined other cities around the country on Saturday for the No Kings protest.
Glass Fest Rock the Park, presented by Simmons Rockwell. Friday, May 22nd, it's award-winning country music powerhouse Drake White with soulful country entertainer John King opening. Friday, May 22nd in Riverfront Centennial Park in Corning. Free and open to the public. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.
We are the keepers of the wild, America's original and most invested conservationists. For more than 80 years, we've been committed to conserving wildlife and the natural landscapes that define our nation. From rugged alpine ridgelines to peaceful tall grass prairies, we've supported the conservation of more than 36 million acres of American wildlands. Our funding has led to cleaner water, fresher air, and improved wildlife habitat. From abundant fish and waterfowl populations to robust deer and elk herds, nothing is more important than maintaining wild spaces for adventurers to explore and wildlife to thrive. We are America's hunters and target shooters, stewards of the American outdoors.
Meteorologist Brandon Weathers, we have a very nice end to the week out there. Temperature topping off around 71. We'll see more sun than clouds. Then in the overnight hours, rain chances returning, bottoming out in the mid-40s. We'll stay much cooler on Saturday as we head into Memorial Day weekend, 56 with some showers, gradually trending warmer so that by Memorial Day, a high of 77, some low 80s by Tuesday and Wednesday. There are additional rain chances.
Oh, we lost the roof cam. The roof cam is down. I'll have to restart that. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio. In that studio, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, fresh off his trip from Albany.
Good morning.
Good morning. You've had a busy week, real busy week.
Yeah, I got home about 11 o'clock last night.
Well, thank you for stopping in here.
Sure, no problem. Happy to do it.
We've got a lot to talk about. And could you explain, I don't want to get too much in the weeds on the wonkiness, but explain what the process is right now, because you have voted on 2, right?
Actually, technically 3.
Oh, because of the first one.
Yeah, I know a lot of times you think of the budget.
Yeah.
It's actually, the budget actually comprises 10 different budget bills. Like the first bill we always vote on, we get done early, is a debt service bill to make our payments. There's Article 7 bills, which are the language bills, and then there's appropriation bills. A couple of the Article 7 bills are the they call it the Alpha Bill. That's like the education labor assistance.
Yep.
And the PPG, which is public protection and government. Those are the two we voted on this week.
And
there's
how
other
many
bills like-
extenders?
Oh, we've done 14 extenders. 14 extenders, 3 actual budget bills.
Okay. And was it a surprise that the first Alpha, I think Alpha was first, right? Was it a surprise that it came up when it did, or were you starting to expect this?
People started talking. I mean, there were reports. Obviously, the media gets things, then we've had some communications with the other side, so they say things are moving. I mean, we're glad things are moving. It's been longer than it should have taken. So we did those 2 bills this week, and then instead of trying to jam it all into the weekend, they said to come back, so we should be back there after Memorial Day and hopefully start first thing Tuesday and finish. The question is what's to be determined what's in there.
Right. Well, and that's what's got to be frustrating because there's such a lack of transparency. Right. So when you start to hear whispers that something like this is going to come up, you really don't have a lot of time to take it all in.
That's correct. And they used what they call messages of necessity. Constitution. This is a question I asked the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee all the time during our budget debates on the extenders. Are we going to have the 3-day constitutional required wait period on a bill?
Right.
Bill gets introduced and you have to wait 3 days. It can get vetted. The public can see it. I mean, that's what happened with the SAFE Act. They did it and they rushed it. They've done this. This is past practice. They just want to get it done, and they're like, we want to get it done. I'm like, yeah, but we waited 7 weeks so far. Right. Can't the public have 3 more days to review it and see what's in it? And part of my problem too is we still don't have a financial plan. I mean, that kind of lays out what our out-year budget gaps are, what our total spending is about going to be from all funds, state operating funds, our reserves, a whole host of issues. And we're talking about, again, a $250 billion budget.
Yeah.
I mean, that's more than any other state, I don't know, other than California, but it's more than some bigger states combined, like Texas and Florida. I mean, it's much bigger than those. And those states have bigger populations than ours too.
And there was talks of getting the financials after Hochul, which is ironic. It's about 2 weeks or 3 weeks since Hochul said it was all over.
Yeah,
2 weeks.
Governor Hochul made her big announcement. The budget was agreed to, and but quickly, about probably an hour later, the speaker was out in the hallway doing a press gaggle saying there's no deal.
No.
The majority leader said there was no deal. Then they said we're going to get it done this week, and in the Senate, Deputy Majority Leader came out and said there's no way we get it done by Memorial Day. And then
he's right.
Yeah, he was right. And then so we started the process, and like I said, we did the 2 bill. But I know it gets kind of hectic. Sometimes they see something passes, and usually I'll do a press release after the whole budget because usually we're doing them all together. But since this is spread out in a couple of the bills that came out that had some big issues in it that I thought people should know about, and so that's why I did. I mean, these are the bills. As the Ways and Means ranker, I'm kind of my job to kind of debate these bills, and I debated both of them for nearly half hour because that's how many. I have 2 15-minute segments I can debate, and I use pretty much the full time just asking questions of the chairman, asking questions of the other committee members. Because on immigration, I had to have conversations with another member of the legislature who was more of an expert in that area, which was fine. But it was fine, but it's just the problem is overall we still don't have that financial plan, and that was part of the reasons. I mean, the Alpha bill, the first bill we did, on the face of it, in and of itself, wasn't a bad bill. It had some good things in there. Obviously, the one thing on school aid, the governor had a minimum increase of 1%. We've been saying it used to be 2%, and I think that's something that we wanted to see happen, at least 2%. But the big thing that happened in that bill was the delay of the electric school bus mandate, and I'm glad it happened. But I still want a full right repeal. Excuse me. And a couple of days earlier, they voted down my bill in committee, which was a better bill in my opinion because it would have delayed it back further.
Yes, because 5 years. I mean, talk about kicking the can down the road. It's not going to be ready in 5 years.
No, it won't be. And so now, just for the viewer, is initially they were supposed to start purchasing electric school buses beginning in July 2027 and convert their entire fleets by 2035. Now they have to begin purchasing in 2032 and convert their entire fleet by 2040. The bill I had that I think is a much better bill says, number one, they wouldn't have to begin purchasing an electric school bus until 2045. And the reason we use that date was 2045 is when, in law, all medium and heavy duty fleets have to be purchasing that date. But my bill said not till that date or till the state of New York converts their entire fleet first.
Right.
Whichever comes later.
Yeah.
And I don't think the New York State, so now we're paired up with the state, but that's what I've been saying all along. Why this whole time we've been asking school districts that they have to convert their entire fleets a full 5 years before the state of New York does. Why we're asking our school districts and property taxpayers to be the guinea pig for this social experiment.
Yeah.
But even still, we might be 2040, but the state has an out for costs. The state has an out for feasibility. They don't have the date. If they want to put it off, they can, but our school districts are not going to be able to do that. They're still going to have to begin purchasing electric school buses in 2032.
Right.
So the question I asked during the budget debate is there any cost-benefit analysis that is going to be required? Is there any feasibility study that's going to be required, safety studies? And they said no, and that's what my bill does. It would require a cost-benefit analysis by the state education department to go through and see how much this is, because we know just on replacement costs alone, we're looking at $15 billion higher cost, because the cost of an electric school bus is about $450,000 versus about $125 to $150 for a near zero emission diesel bus. The charging infrastructure, billions of dollars in charging infrastructure for schools, building infrastructure.
Yeah.
And also the electric grade infrastructure improvements that are going to need to be met and borne by the local property taxpayers. Because I remember we did a press conference 2 years ago on this issue, because we've been talking about it since the beginning. Said that it would cost the school districts over $30 million to do electric infrastructure improvements like substations, power, things like that, and that would be borne by the property taxpayers. So I am glad that we have this delay. I think it's a partial victory, at least for a pause. I mean, it's a pumping of the brakes, not an outright slamming of the brake like I've said we should be doing, but at least it's doing that. And the other thing our bill did, so our bill had a cost-benefit analysis. Our bill also had a feasibility study, which would require the Public Service Commission in collaboration with the utilities, with collaboration with the New York Independent System Operators, which is charged with making sure the grid, the power stays on, the lights stand, do a feasibility study, see what can this be done, when can it be done. I mean, that's just common sense to do these things. And then also a safety study with the Office of Fire Prevention, because these lithium-ion batteries, they catch on fire often, and if these things catch on fire, I'm sorry, these kids are dead.
Yeah, I mean, because look at what happened to the apartment complex over here.
It can happen.
One dead, and that was an apartment complex.
Exactly. Look, it happens in New York City with the smaller electric bikes and electric scooters, lithium-ion batteries. They catch on fire. They burn hot and they burn long. So I think this is something I worry about and I talk about on the floor. And the other thing, and I haven't brought up here too much to you, Frank, and the viewers, is the other part of my bill that I thought was far superior is that we require these parts and components to be made in the USA. And during my debate, I brought it up, and I've brought this up time and time again. A lot of people don't know 70% of the cobalt, the lithium-ion battery is made of cobalt and lithium. 70% of the cobalt is extracted in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Well documented that it uses child labor, some as young as 6 years old. They estimate some 30,000 kids, and they go into hand mine, dig for cobalt, and these mines have collapsed on them, killed them, paralyzed them, lost limbs, and that's what's happening. And I bring this up on the floor. I mean, and we always talk about looking for our disadvantaged communities. I go, what about these disadvantaged communities? It's almost like it's okay.
They ignore it.
They ignore it.
And you're right. It's okay if it's not in our backyard.
Yeah, it's like it's same
horrible.
thing. Yeah, and same thing on the lithium in the lithium triangle, Chile, Bolivia, Argentina. They're poisoning. It's so radioactive. Their lithium. It's poisoning water rivers and streams over there. If they were poisoning water rivers and streams here, if kids were dying here and being paralyzed, this would not happen. But it's almost because they're helping us meet our so-called, and they're not clean, obviously, goals. It's okay. And I had this debate. I'm probably pivoting, but it reminded me of the conversation I had with my colleague from New York City, who's pushing these bills, and I was talking about this on the floor, and she got up and asked me to yield. And so the majority leader, and I go, absolutely, I'll yield, because I was talking about this at the very end of one of my discussions.
Right.
And she says, well, what about the points when, if there's oil spills and things like that? Isn't that a problem? I go, it's a big problem.
Yeah.
I go, but let me say one more thing on that part. I go, I know you don't like oil rigs. I know you don't like fracking wells. I don't see any children working on them, do you? And she didn't say anything. And then the speaker, the speaker who presides says, stop it,
but it's fair.
But it's a fact. So, and that's the ironic picture of these electric school buses. how ironic is our kids are going to be riding on these buses that were being made by kids in the Democratic Republic of Congo who have been paralyzed, who've been killed, who've been maimed, and it just doesn't make sense to me. And it's not a feasible operation. But so our bill was far superior. They held it in committee 2 days before, but I am glad this provision was included in the Alpha bill, which we passed 2 days ago. It's a slight pause, a slight respite for these school districts.
It doesn't feel like we're going to talk about it.
We're going to keep talking about it
for 5 years, because what's going to happen is, like politics and all in life, we're going to blink and it's 5 years.
It's going to be there before
yeah.
we know it. And that's why I said this is a perfect time. And when in my floor comment, this is the perfect time. Let's do the cost-benefit analysis. Yeah. Let's do the feasibility study. Let's do the safety study. Let's ensure these parts are made with American parts and components, so it's done here. So we're not exploiting children. We're not poisoning water, rivers, streams, and other communities. So let's make way for the technology. But I go on and on. Yeah. That's just the one.
Was there anything else positive in the education, labor, and the family assistance, or what?
I think the school bus is the big thing.
Yeah.
And like I was saying at the beginning, was the increase in school aid, which I think is something we were all university Republicans and Democrats, upstate, downstate, because last year was a 2% floor, and many of my school districts, our school districts here, are at that floor because our enrollment numbers are down. And the problem with the enrollment numbers, I mean, whether your enrollment is declining, whether you have 20 kids in a classroom or 30 kids in a classroom, you still have teachers, you still have teachers' aid, you still have to heat that building, you still have to air condition that building, you still have to make infrastructure improvements, you still have health insurance costs that are going up, pension costs that are going up. All of those things are part of it. So that's why we say we need to keep pace with that. And one of the comments I made during the budget debate on that bill too is that there's formulas that are driven, and they're tweaking the foundation aid formula. There are people that said we should be looking at, they call it the sparsity factor, that is really the main component that our upstate rural school districts and with less density have. Let's make tweaks to that would help that formula drive more money to our upstate rural schools. But they did make changes to the English learning, or English as a second language and English learning communities, which drives the money and tweaks it so it goes more money downstate. And that's kind of that's inside baseball. The school districts understand it, but that's the problem. I mean, we should be dealing with those things. But the fact that they had an increase, we made it from 2% versus 1%, I think is a big positive thing. And the electric school bus was a positive thing. But my main opposition to that, and we had some Republicans who voted on that bill, and I understand. And I kind of laid it out there in my budget debate. It's like there will be some who vote because of these things. Right. But for myself, I'm going to be voting no because we still don't have a financial plan. Mm-hmm. I mean, the education component of the budget is like $40 billion. I mean, you have to have the full picture before we're asked to vote on a budget that's $250 billion. We should know what the out-year budget gaps are going to be. Yeah. We should know what the tax increases are going to be. We should know all these things before we're voting. We should have the financial plans before we make one budget vote. And that was part of my argument against voting for the Alpha. Same thing on public protection, but the public protection beyond that has much more dangerous things in there, especially on the immigration side of things. And
yep. We got to take a short break, but first I'm going to read this comment. This is to me, Phil, this is before you got on the show. Can you say one or two good things about the Democrats? I'll get back to you on that. Saying, I haven't watched your show, but I woke up, it was on. I consider myself in the middle of a lot of issues. I can agree at times with both sides, but I noticed this entire morning has been praised the Republicans, bash the Democrat Party. Both parties have their own controversy and people that are terrible. I understand in your last line. We were talking about, I think, because we had so many guests in the first hour, this must have been a reference to the Democrats' autopsy. That was the Democrats' own autopsy. The DNC had released that about why they lost in 2024. So yes, there was some negative language in there towards Democrats, but that was their own language. You can correct me if that's not what you're referencing. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Phil. Hey, that's nice. You are a very patient man. Thank you for your perseverance. Now, that you get this every time. It always looks like playtime going on while you're speaking. No wonder nobody knows what's going on. What happened to respect? That's everybody in the background. Everybody notices it. All right. And to the one gentleman that asked, that's the person behind you is the Sergeant of Arms, correct?
The one gentleman behind me is the Sergeant of Arms. He's there to Mr. Jackson is make sure things are processing the way they're supposed to do. He's a great guy. He's been there for a number of times, a Vietnam veteran. When I was an intern in 1990, I have a picture with me from him
Oh,
way
really?
back then. He's just a real good guy and probably the most well-respected and most well-liked person in the entire chamber.
Everybody just sees the ducks on his podium.
Yeah,
That's what it is. That's
yeah.
why they focus
He's
on him.
He's a good man.
He's good. Now, is that an elected position, or is he just
He's
there?
appointed.
Appointed. Oh,
Yeah,
interesting. Okay. See what we're learning? All right, stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox will be right back.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Here, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Every journey is a shared experience. On the road, every decision has an impact, especially the decision to speed. Every mile per hour matters. Your speed affects more than just you. Ride and drive, as if everyone's life depends on it. Together, riders and drivers can save lives.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We have a very nice end to the week out there. Temperature topping off around 71. We'll see more sun than clouds. Then in the overnight hours, rain chances returning, bottoming out in the mid-40s. We'll stay much cooler on Saturday as we head into Memorial Day weekend, 56 with some showers, gradually trending warmer so that by Memorial Day, a high of 77, some low 80s by Tuesday and Wednesday. There are additional rain.
Well, the Frankly Speaking roof cam is down this morning in preparation for Glass Fest. I don't know. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We're broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. In that studio, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. All right, Phil, we have a lot to get to, but I got this question looking everywhere. There's so much action going on the streets. Good morning. Question for Phil. And he also says, good morning, Phil. Once Bruce Blakeman is elected governor of New York State, how long do you think it will take for him, for example, to undo the idiotic electric mandate and other things in general? Do you think the Democrats will cooperate with him in his efforts to save New York State and bring it back from the brink of destruction? Lastly, if it with Bruce, hopefully not a Republican, or hopefully, but a Republican majority, can New York State be saved, or is it too far gone for any meaningful recovery? He's just wondering because he has to know whether to plan to leave.
I mean, first, I'm always the ever eternal optimist.
Yeah.
We have challenges. I mean, I think with Bruce Blakeman as our governor, we can make some major changes. I think he would have to, and I'm not a big fan of policy in the budget. I never have been, but I think that's the one area he's going to have to use the budget as leverage in negotiations because, you know, the governor usually has a lot more power in the negotiations. We've seen this with Governor Hochul. We've seen it with Governor Cuomo. And some of these Democrats in the Assembly and the Senate don't want to make any changes to the electric mandates. You know, they all want to ban. Many of them want to ban natural gas, despite what the polls say. People want natural gas. They don't want to ban on it. 71% of New Yorkers don't want to ban on natural gas. 2/3 of New Yorkers want to balance between renewable resources and natural gas. So, and there's this animosity towards natural gas. We've seen it on fracking, we've seen it on pipelines, and we've seen it on air permits. So he's going to have a challenge, but I think he's up for the challenge. But and not just on that, on public safety issues, which are big issues too, the bail reform. He's going to have to, you know, work hard at this. But I'm sure. And then I know when we elect more Republicans to the legislature this time around, which I think we will, if we get veto-proof majorities or minorities, so that we can, you know, if he has a veto, we can uphold it. I think that's going to be help.
Okay, another comment. Rick, I apologize. I won't be able to read your whole comment because it's all about federal stuff, but I will read this part. Prayers for the Bush family with the passing of Kyle. Shocked. We've been following NASCAR for 40 years. Kyle was a natural. I saw a big change for the better in him when he went to work for Richard Childress. He could really wheel a race car. So I hope you don't mind, Rick, that I just skipped ahead of that, but you're right. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the Bush family. Ken writes in, the Democrats don't worry about a few accidents involving children in a foreign country. They would stand in the way of their portfolios or the portfolios of their benefactors. I still shake my head when it's Hochul is doing this or Hochul's doing that. She makes no decision herself. She's just a mouthpiece for the Democrat puppet masters. Thank you very much. All right, Phil, public protection and general government budget bill. This was yesterday?
This was yesterday.
Yeah. Okay. So what are you saying there? I know I received a press release. You're not necessarily happy with the overreach on immigration.
Oh, there's a whole host of issues.
Okay, that's just one.
And I'll come to immigration in a minute if I could. But a couple of things that I think about when I think about our corrections officers, things that would have been in the budget on here. Maybe some can come up later, but there was no HALT reform. Remember,
and you've been an advocate for that.
Yes, I mean, last year there was the Governor's Office of Employee Relations, DOCS, and NYSCOBA, the union that represents our corrections officer, came to an agreement, and it was an agreement that was supported by all the other public employees unions with a bunch of recommendations on how to reform HALT to make the situation inside our correctional facilities better, safer. We have a staffing and safety crisis inside our correctional facilities. It's a powder keg environment. Every time you turn around, I get reports of more assaults, whether it's Elmira, 5 Points, anywhere across the state. Our corrections officers are constantly under assault. So we could have had those reforms in this budget. They weren't, and I question the chairman about that. And the other provision that our corrections officers are looking for, given the fact that Governor Hochul fired 2,000 corrections officers, we have a shortage of about 4,500, and we got a bunch of National Guards troops still inside our correctional facilities.
That doesn't get any attention.
Over $500 million, more than that, and growing. And this death gamble for the viewer, how it works is when someone in public, in service, like a corrections officer, they can usually retire after 25 years because, I mean, it's a difficult job, like troopers are 25 years. But if they stay on the job and they should die, even though they earned and secured that pension, their loved one would not get the pension. They would just get a death benefit and any life insurance they may or may not have. But and in my opinion, those individuals not just deserve it, but they earn that pension, and we should be able to protect that loved one. And 3 times this bill has been vetoed, and every time it's, Governor Cuomo once, Governor Hochul twice, and every time they put it in the budget. But for some reason, they never end up putting it in the budget. So I asked the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee about that during the budget debate yesterday, that this should be a part of the budget. Now, he did say, it's still possible. He didn't say it was, but because of the things they're talking about with Tier 6 and the pension reforms, because of that, it could be taken up at a later budget time. So I'm hopeful it is. So I'm not saying it's over on that issue. Right. I think the HALT's done. I don't think anything's going to happen in HALT.
That's fallen on deaf ears every time you bring it up.
It's really, really sad.
Even when we've had the clips when you're talking to people, it's like.
And the sad part about it with HALT, and I said it, and I know these statistics, since HALT was implemented in the first 3 years, inmate assaults, and if they think they care about the inmates, has increased over 169%. Inmate and staff assaults have increased 76%. Our contraband seizures have increased more than 32% during the initial first 3 years of the program. Last year, those with the work stoppage, those numbers were skewed a little bit because of changes. But the fact of the matter is, every week I get reports seeing more assaults, dangerous assaults taking place, and this is just a common sense approach. It wasn't an outright repeal, HALT, which I think we should do, an outright repeal. These were reforms, changes to the HALT program, and they still won't do that.
I want to ask you, Phil, should I take a break here? No, we got a second. When it comes to immigration specifically, because we've talked about this with the sheriff in the past, and there was some controversy. We just had Kelly Fitzpatrick on, where working with ICE, and of course this was standard and all that. So is all this null and void now? Or are we talking about the fact that we can no longer, that state employees can't work with federal immigration authorities, law enforcement, officer, all that?
Yeah, and I talked to the sheriff the other day. I mean, the sheriff, Sheriff Allard, Steuben County has a 287 agreement with ICE. And I was telling you, he goes, isn't it better to be able to come inside a correctional facility and take that person there versus trying to chase them down in the streets. I mean, that's why when we have this we don't have those problems that you see in Minnesota and things, because there's cooperation, there's collaboration, but instead of this sanctuary status, I mean, this thing. So yeah, you have state employees. I mean, you can't cooperate. The other thing,
and I'll read all of them because I don't want to run too late on it.
Go
But
ahead.
I just wanted to specifically on that, and also what bothers me, Phil. Well, we'll go through it. Why don't we do this? Because I can tell I'm running late, and
Sure.
I want to get. We want to focus on this for a moment because this is very important. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Hi, this is Tom Witzel, owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is the start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family owned and operated in Amara Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Nearly 5 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bust.
Thousands lined the pier at Seneca Harbor. Race weekend brought thousands to Watkins Glen International.
Hundreds and horseheads joined other cities around the country on Saturday for the No Kings protest.
Glassbach the Park, presented by Simmons Rockwell. Saturday, May 23rd is Tracy's A Taylor Experience.
Welcome to our tribute to the Eras tour.
Free and open to the public. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.
Down and play, I'll write your name.
Being a boy, I don't know anything different. I had a very successful career. Life was fast. I was preparing physically. I wasn't doing anything mentally. And then I got hurt. I dug into mental health. I wanted to be better as a person. I start my day with a workout. I live life 8 seconds at a time. Find a place to stop and just breathe. Love your mind.
Frankly Speaking, roof cam is on the fritz. We'll restart that a little bit. But we've got Assemblyman Phil Palmisano in the Hesselson studio. Okay, Phil, we got a couple questions from viewers. Let's see here. First one. Phil, is there anything the state or government can do to lower gas prices? It feels like there is quite a few politicians that don't care about the affordability for Americans.
I think from a broader perspective, I mean, there are little things we could do. Is some there are proposals. Let's suspend the gas tax that we have in New York, the state gas taxes, but it's not going to make a significant difference because obviously that's impacted by the market. But what I've been talking when it comes to gas prices, especially in the long term, these green mandates that are under discussion or that are in law that we have to address. If we do not make these necessary changes, if we go forward with this, the price of a gallon of gas by this governor's own numbers and estimates will increase, and this is above and beyond what it is right now, will increase more than $2.23 a gallon above and beyond what it is now. If we keep moving forward with these green policies, with cap and invest and things like that, price of diesel will increase more than $2.41 a gallon above and beyond what it is now. So, I mean, the things we can do in the long term, pump the brakes on these green mandates and look at these policies and how they're going to impact the customer. I think that's something we need to be looking at. But in the short term, which I would support, suspend some of the taxes on the state taxes on gasoline and things like that. That might be helpful, but that's not going to make a substantial difference. Right. I mean, so those are some of the things that people have talked about.
All right, we're going to talk about immigration, but before that, how about this one, Phil? Phil, you are amazing, says Jack. Forget AI, artificial intelligence, when you have PI, Phil Intelligence, on the job. All without a teleprompter this morning. Unreal. Thank you, Phil, for all that you do. That was nice. That was a nice one. Thank you, Jack. Yeah. All right. So we got bans local governments from entering into or remaining in any 287G contracts that allows participation in immigration enforcement, as well as agreements on detaining individuals or immigration violations. These are the major ones. Ban any state employee from working with federal immigration authorities. This one drives me crazy. All of them do. But bans law enforcement officers from wearing face coverings while performing their duties. We cried for face coverings when there was an anti-Semitic protest in the street. Take them down. All these people are being intimidated. Kathy Hochul sounded strong on it last year. She dropped it. But now when it comes to law enforcement, another example of going after law enforcement. And finally, allow individuals to sue federal law enforcement officers. That's a can of worms.
what kind of message are we sending to our law enforcement, dedicated men and women who work a very dangerous job to protect us? Every day they go to work, they don't know if they're going to return. I mean, these are heroes.
Right.
But yet they're being vilified at every level. I mean, and I know most of the focus is on ICE officers, but even you see it with the local police in some of the attacks. You saw, I remember during in New York City that they were throwing snowballs at New York City police officers, and the mayor said it's a snowball fight.
And it wasn't snowballs.
It was an assault.
It wasn't like you're throwing it at your friends.
Exactly.
These were weapons.
And what we continue to see with these policies, and I can delve more into the policies, is what are we saying to our law enforcement who work this dangerous job? I mean, time and time again, Frank, the policies that are being advanced by the Democrats in Albany, by Governor Hochul, seem to tip the scales of justice in favor of criminals over public safety, over crime victims and their families, and over law enforcement. It's wrong. It needs to stop. And we need to do a better job of showing our respect for the law enforcement.
And we hear about what is just like you said, an overreach, I think is a perfect word. I saw on Empire Report, and I can't remember the outlet, they're saying that some Democrats in Albany believe this didn't go far enough.
Oh, there's so much more they want to do, which is kind of scary. But
that New York for All Act.
New York for All Act, which is, when they say all, it basically means all.
Mm-hmm.
And everything will just be in favor. I mean, I gave the example on the floor. I'm like, and I've said this, I think this on the show, you know, we have in New York is right now we're already a sanctuary city, sanctuary state, and this is just going to, how much we spent over $13 billion. We know we got a migrant influx and crisis. We had that, you know, we saw how much we had to spend to bail out New York City on this, and the state dollars are going for that. I mean, this is going to exacerbate that problem. I mean, it's one thing after another, and I just don't know where we go from here. I mean, it's just mind-blowing to me.
I know. Well, Phil, is there anything more specifically you want to bring up on this, or do you want to take a break and we'll kind of just do a general recap?
I'm sure there's more that's going to come.
I know.
Come back from the break.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking, getting ready to wrap up today's edition. So get your last-minute comments and last-minute waves in. We'll be right back.
An albino baby buffalo was born.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bus.
Day one of the National Glider Competition.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We have a very nice end to the week out there. Temperature topping off around 71. We'll see more sun than clouds. Then in the overnight hours, rain chances returning, bottoming out in the mid-40s. We'll stay much cooler on Saturday as we head into Memorial Day weekend, 56 with some showers, gradually trending warmer so that by Memorial Day, a high of 77, some low 80s by Tuesday and Wednesday. There are additional rain chances.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox, broadcasting from the Hesselson studio. In that studio, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. We just had a little more to wrap up when we talk about the immigration policy coming out of New York, out of Albany, yesterday.
Yes. This is going to make, you know, the number one responsibility of government is to protect our citizens.
Right.
This bill does not do that. In fact, it makes it more dangerous. Why are we handcuffing our law enforcement? Our sheriff should be able to make decisions that's going to impact their local community to keep them safe.
That's why they are elected.
And this is a total violation and usurping local home rule and local control on how to protect our citizens. They say they don't want taxpayer dollars, but I'm like, these are local taxpayer dollars. So you want to control how they spend their local taxpayer dollars to keep their community safe. So from that perspective, it does not make any sense. Let our local law enforcement decide, make those decisions to keep the community safe, and let's not usurp local control. And I believe this is totally going to be overturned in the courts. I mean, there's federal supremacy. How are we going to be telling what federal law enforcement officers can wear and where they can go and things of that nature? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And it's just going to make it more dangerous we've seen a rise in assaults on ICE officers, vehicular assaults over the past year, and that this is not going to make it any safer for them. So that's number one, on top of the other things I mentioned. And I try to put it in perspective, and I said this on the floor. Remember this. We've seen the perfect storm of terrible policies coming together on immigration. Right. First, you have an individual crosses the border during the Biden administration. They were caught, but released. Where did they come? They came to New York because we're a sanctuary city, sanctuary state, because of our policies. That individual committed a crime. Because of our bail reform, they were released because they don't want to have cooperation with federal ICE officials or federal law enforcement. They released that individual, didn't serve any time, just released, went down to Atlanta, Georgia, and murdered Laken Riley. Right. And there are more stories like that, and that's what I said on the floor. And that, for all these reasons, it's just terrible.
Let's wrap up on a couple important notes. They're all important. Let's talk about, and we mentioned on this program a little while ago, when you got the chance to honor the state troopers.
Oh yeah, they have the superintendent accommodations, and I got a note. They contact us when someone in our district won. So I got to go to the ceremony before. I couldn't stay because we had session and meetings, but I went. And then there was a gentleman, Brian Cosimo, from Catlin, who I was notified about, was a winner. And when I went there, I saw Nick Trentinelli from Corning.
Oh yeah, of course.
Young man, I know him and his family for a long time. And I looked at it. I go, he was getting recognized too. He was recognized for the National Top Trooper Award.
Oh wow!
And Nick's also in the National Guard. He's been in the correctional facilities too, because I saw him over in Livingston County, Groveland at one time. He was recognized for National Top Trooper. I saw his family there. I had a chance to talk to him. And Andy Jones from Horseds. Both Andy and Brian got the accommodation awards from the superintendent. And with Nick, the three of them, from the area, so we were able to do a picture and just got a chance to go there and say, hey, thank you for your service and thank you for what you do for us. So.
That's great. And when you were walking in this morning, I didn't want to say anything, but you looked a little sore. You had a little hitch in your giddy up. Why is that?
Well, we had our annual assemblies, Republican Democrat softball game this week.
How'd it go?
Well, number one. We won, which is a good thing.
That's all that matters.
Second year in a row with our new leader, Ed Ra, so we won. But the big winner was the food bank. We raised over $14,000 for the food bank for the region. But I decided to slide into home running around the bases after
had to be a hero.
I was trying to be a hero. I slid and I was safe, but here's the problem. Yeah. My run didn't count because apparently, which I didn't, unbeknownst to me, there was a 5-run limit per inning.
Okay.
And I was a 6-run.
All that for nothing.
I scarfed up my leg pretty bad, and so it's all wrapped up, and it's just not pretty. I mentioned to my wife, she goes, "You're an idiot."
Yeah.
Because 2 years ago, I pulled my groin running down the first baseline, and I actually spent a day. I had to go to the hospital for it because it was just terrible, and it was the worst pain ever. So at least I didn't pull my groin. This is a little sore. It hurts a little bit, but yes.
I don't think you should keep signing off.
There's so many.
Well, that's why you got to stick to bocce.
Bocce, yes, bocce. I'm part of the Italian American state legislators, and we do this annual. And the big thing about that is we give scholarships to kids.
Yeah.
Every year, and once I had someone here win it, but it's a collaboration. We do this for charity, but we do a social event, and they have a bocce ball thing at the end of the night.
Yep.
My team happened to win the bocce ball championship for the second year in a row.
Well, congratulations.
And quite frankly, I'm on that trophy 6 times.
Oh, hey, all right. So, braggart.
But it's just a little fun thing to do, but it's just kind of fun.
I never knew you were such a pro at bocce. Yeah. Well, Phil, thanks for giving us so much time this morning. It's hard to believe, but we're through. You got a lot of work ahead of you in Albany.
Next week's going to be a busy week, so I'll come back and talk after we finish up the budget and the end of legislative session, because I'm going to be in Albany through Friday the next 2 weeks.
Okay, but we'll talk soon. All right, thanks. As always, Fridays with Phil. We always enjoy it. Have fun at the Glass Fest, everyone, and join us on Tuesday. And have a wonderful Memorial Day. I know, Phil, I hope you have a nice Memorial Day and everybody out there. And we'll be back on Tuesday morning with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I look forward to it already.
to the me I used to be before talking to 988.
I felt alone.
I thought seeing hard things was just part of the job. I thought that having a bad day at work meant I was failing. But then I connected with someone at 988.
A real person texted back. Someone listened without judgment.
Now I know. Now I know it's okay to let someone help me too.
And I'm stronger than I thought.
We hear you. Call, text, or chat 988.
Glass Pass the Park, presented by Simmons Rockwell. Friday, May 22nd, it's award-winning country music powerhouse Drake White with soulful country entertainer John King opening. Friday, May 22nd in Riverfront Centennial Park in Corning. Free and open to the public. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.